Senator Jackson. You have item 8.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
SB 429.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is really not a creative bill. This is an attempt to start implementing legislation that was passed 40 years ago that continues to languish, unfortunately, and this is a very small effort to start moving the ball forward so that Title IX can properly be implemented. First, let me start by accepting the committee amendments that are in the analysis. I appreciate the time and effort that was taken to help improve on this effort. This bill would require the California Department of Education to develop a Title IX instructional video to help school districts better understand and become compliant with the terms of Title IX passed over 40 years ago. Now, the genesis of this bill comes from an informational hearing the Senate Judiciary Committee held this past January to better understand how our schools are complying with or not complying with Title IX of the Federal Education Amendments of 1972. Otherwise known as Title IX. During the hearing, we heard from the United States Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, which is where Title IX is housed, and the California Department of Education, who both testified when held, Title IX trainings are well attended by school personnel seeking to better understand their Title IX obligations. However, due to lack of funding and resources, and I would venture also with a lack of interest and will, there are very few trainings available. This lack of awareness of Title IX can be seen in its common day interpretations. Whereas many people typically and appropriately correlate some of the provisions of Title IX with gender equity in interscholastic athletics, many are unaware that Title IX forbids discrimination on the basis of sex in any federally funded education program or activity. Now, this includes protections against gender bias, gender-based harassment, sexual harassment, and sexual violence. We know today from the information that we've been receiving that these latter issues have become an epidemic, not only in our college campuses, but as we heard during the testimony at this hearing in January, on our high school campuses as well. Although state funding continues to be limited, the state cannot continue to allow school administrators, teachers, and staff to be literally uninformed about existing federal equal protections rights provided under Title IX. We heard testimony, many of us who have contacted our own local jurisdictions to find out who the Title IX coordinator is, which is required by law. Many of them have no idea. They don't have one. I've had superintendents tell me, well, it must be me. I mean, it is extraordinary, the lack of effort over 40 years to implement this critically important legislation. This measure, a modest measure, frankly, far more modest than I would like to see, but recognizing certain financial limitations. This measure would help to develop and provide an easily accessible training tool for school administrators, teachers, and staff that can help ensure that our public schools have the knowledge about Title IX and become compliant with it and are providing an equitable and gender discrimination-free learning environment. You know, as a thought, when we heard from some of these students, and specifically from Berkeley High School, these young women who have been harassed on campus, intimidated on campus, if we want to get a quality education for our children, we have to make that educational environment free of harassment and discrimination. The fact that there is already legislation on the books to make that happen, but it isn't even being complied with, is absolutely unacceptable in today's world. So with that, I would request your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Those in support of the bill.
Thank you very much to the committee and to Senator Jackson for having me speak today. And basically, discuss this issue and hold that hearing in January. My name is Kim Turner, staff attorney with the Fair Play for Girls in Sports Project, part of the Legal Aid Society Employment Law Center based in San Francisco and serving all of California. We are part of a statewide coalition of Title IX supporters comprised of several nonprofit groups, such as the Equal Rights Advocates, Center for Research on Women and Families, AAUW, and the California Women's Law Center. At the Employment Law Center, we support not only workers' rights, but also gender equality in sports because of the wide range of benefits athletic participants experience. Today, we support SB 429, requiring the California Department of Education to develop an informational Title IX training video to help schools and school districts finally become aware of and compliant with the law. As many already know, for girls and all youth, playing sports translates into improved health, greater mental well-being, and success in the classroom. Yet, many do not realize that girls having the opportunity to play sports also leads to economic and employment dividends, especially for low-income women in poor areas. For example, one study conducted by a Princeton economist, Betsy Stevenson, found that high school athletic participants go on to earn 7% higher wages in adulthood in comparison to their non-athletic counterparts. Thus, we recognize that gender equity in our school gyms and on our school fields is connected to gender equity in the classroom and the workplace over a lifetime. For more than a decade, Fair Play Project staff have fielded Title IX inquiries from community members throughout California seeking compliance with the law because young women and girls are daily struggling to achieve and experience equality. And for over a decade, our staff have had to pursue Title IX cases throughout California, from San Diego to Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and beyond, because schools and school districts are not compliant with the law, and female students are suffering for it. We receive calls and emails all the time from community members confronted with principals, school board members, teachers, and other school personnel who are not clear on the law and who are not following the law. Title IX, passed over 40 years ago, is still poorly understood. Among some school administrators, the very basics of the law are still out of grasp. Still, other school administrators with a general understanding lack knowledge to comply. Clear, concise, uniform training on Title IX compliance is utterly lacking and seriously needed. At Fair Play for Girls in Sports, my project, we draw on our long-running experience with Title IX cases to understand what is needed to address these gaping holes in compliance. For example, since 2007, we have litigated a case in the San Diego area against Castle Park High School, where school administrators for too long misunderstood and disregarded Title IX obligations at the expense of female student athletes. Eventually, we secured a court order to make change when all other options were exhausted. Today, many more girls at Castle Park have teams to play on, and those girls have treatment and benefits equal to male athletes, such as decent uniforms, well-maintained fields, and quality coaches. Yet, we would much rather a school like Castle Park and other schools throughout the state simply learn about the law and how to comply with Title IX before a violation occurs. We need schools properly trained on Title IX obligations, proactive about putting a competent Title IX coordinator in place, and students aware of their Title IX rights so they can ably exercise such rights freely and without a fear of retaliation. Currently, we know of no affordable, effective training video or similar tool guiding schools and districts regarding the law with respect to athletics or the other key aspects of Title IX, as Senator Jackson mentioned, such as the proper handling of sexual assault and harassment issues and accommodations for pregnant and parenting teens. Certain aspects of the law are simple and even intuitive. Female students should have the same quality educational experience as their male counterparts. Other aspects of the law are more complex, such as how exactly does one analyze a school district's athletic program for equity issues? And how can we determine whether enough athletic opportunities are afforded to female and male students? Thus, we see an enormous need for a training video created by the California Department of Education, along with input from community partners and key stakeholders. We strongly support SB 429 and the creation of such a training video as one step in the right direction to provide clear, concise, detailed guidance for schools throughout California as to how they may finally, 43 years later, become gender equitable under Title IX. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Others in support?
Salvia, Senor. Association of California School Administrators. You would think I'd be here in opposition, but I'm not. We're here in support of this effort. The Association of School Administrators represents over 16,000 administrators in this state, and one of the things we very much want to see happen is a training video, a video that in fact can be used to assist school administrators in the implementation of this law. And that's why we're here supporting this. We want to continue to, and I think the senator agrees to this, that resources have been a problem, but it's certainly not going to be an excuse. And we are going to do our part to assist our administrators in the training. And the video will be extremely helpful for that purpose.
Okay, thank you very much. Others in support?
Alejandro Espinosa on behalf of State Superintendent Tom Torlakson, in support.
Thank you. Any others in support? Is there any opposition? We didn't receive any opposition. Are there any questions from members? Senator Hancock.
I don't have any questions, but I was at the hearing that Senator Jackson referred to, and I have no doubt about the need for this bill. I would move the bill, and I would like to be added as a co-author if there's an appropriate time, Senator.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. The bill has been moved, and I too, as a recovering Title IX coordinator 40 years ago, it's amazing.
But you were
I
appointed,
was,
at
but you know
least.
what? And I did in-service for some of the faculty members in those days, and I just got blank stares from people about, what is she talking about?
You'd get them today, too, sadly, in many instances.
Really amazing. We're still doing this. Good for you. Okay, the bill has been moved as amended, so please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to appropriations. Lou?
Aye.
Lou, aye. Huff? Block? Hancock?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock. Leyva? Aye. Leyva. Mendoza? Pan? Aye. Aye. Pan. Vidak? Aye. Aye. Vidak.
5-0. The bill is out, but we'll leave the roll open for absent members.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. Senator Pavley, just in time. You have item 12, SB 618. Then after Senator Pavley, Senator Hancock.
Thank you very much. Sorry
you.
about being a little bit late, but we just finished in governance and finance, so perfect timing. This bill is a subject that I've worked on for a few years. Last year, if you remember, we talked a little bit about the Ed Prize. That was sort of a pilot program to allow districts to come up with model partnerships and how you link education to local jobs that need to be filled, and that was through the Career Pathways Trust funding. I noticed in the budget this year, however, that the governor seems to be focused on career technical training, but also mentions in the budget apprenticeship programs. This bill is sort of a work in progress, trying to work with the administration to see what kind of program they had in mind. But the concept is the same. Apprenticeship programs are really important to give kids the skills and so they can get jobs. The focus should be local jobs, so you better match the job needs in the area so that they can be fulfilled. It also isn't just traditional apprenticeship programs, building trades, but it can apply to whether it's healthcare needs in the medical field, or whether it's preschool teachers, which I know is a big focus. So this bill right now, to be frank with you, is a work in progress because of the administration's new focus on apprenticeships. They use the word that way, and I want to see what they have in mind. We'll be working with them. And so I'd be glad to bring it back to this committee once it's more flushed out. But because it is in the budget, and because I know it's an important priority, not only to this committee and Senator Hancock, and if Senator Wyland was still here, he would be championing this as well. as a vehicle to have that discussion.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. In support of the bill? Is there opposition to the bill?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Leangela Reed on behalf of the Small School Districts Association, and we are unfortunately must respectfully oppose unless amended SB 618. We are very supportive of apprenticeship programs and think they're very important for rural areas. Unfortunately, the language which requires them to be distributed on a competitive basis as determined by the superintendent it just doesn't work for smalls. They don't have, because of their often rural and remote location, they can't provide the same level of student participation as larger districts. For example, in Senator Block's district, where there are 42 school districts, San Diego Unified and Escondido can do it, but the rest of them cannot. Most of them are small. We'd like to work with the author on some language that would address our concerns simply by recognizing geographic location, size of district, and allowing county offices to apply as well as school districts. We think would work for everyone, because as we said, we want those apprenticeship programs, but we don't want to be locked out of the process. In addition, large districts can often hire grant writers. Smalls cannot. In fact, in many cases, the administrator is the principal, superintendent, and bus driver. So we just would like that taken into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Senator Pavley, would you like to respond to the opposition?
Certainly, in my close, unless there's other questions.
Is there other questions from members? Senator
And I
Vidak?
talked to Senator Vidak out in the hall on this exact issue, and so he knows what I'm talking about. I have absolutely no problem working with them. We had this discussion last year when it went through the EdPrize program. It's going to be based on criteria, but should there be argumentatively a carve out for, and I'm sensitive to small cities competing with big cities for other sources of revenue, or small school districts just because of lack of personnel. I keep thinking maybe small districts could have an advocate for their association to really make sure that there's, but I pledge that I'll work with, I need to work with administration, but also Superintendent Torlakson, who will take the money and distribute it. It's important that they recognize that this, we don't know how much money is there too, but there is sort of not equal amounts, but equal access to meeting the criteria so that apprenticeship programs, they're as relevant in urban areas as they are in rural areas. I get that. I've taught in some of those small school districts myself. So well, as the bill moves through and we get a better sense of where the administration's headed and a conversation with Superintendent Torlakson, I think we can work something out.
Okay. Okay. Did somebody move the bill?
I'll move the bill.
Okay.
I'm recognizing it's a work in progress. I'm very supportive of career technical education in the trades. These are great jobs, stable jobs, can't be offshored. We need our kids to realize that, and often they don't. So to me, this would be, to get a really good program going would be a big step forward. And I appreciate the problem of small districts, too. Sometimes it's like, how many lobbyists do you have to, whatever. And we see that a lot. So I have great confidence in Senator Pavley working with you to make sure that their needs are taken into consideration.
Okay. You have a question, Senator Vidak?
Just thank you for this, and I know you.
You'll remind me every day. Don't worry about it.
And you come from small districts, and we all represent large districts and small districts, but absolutely.
And, you know, to be real candid here, the needs are just as great, if not more, in some of the rural areas in order to provide, because they don't have a lot of opportunities for jobs. It's limited, and you have to really tailor practical high school experience, perhaps coupled with community college or workforce development, to those jobs in those areas that are reasonable driving distance, so the skills should match, and not one size fits all, as we know in this great state. So ask for your aye vote, and thank you very much for your interest in this subject.
Thank you very much. Okay, the bill has been moved to appropriations.
Do you pass to appropriations? Lou?
Aye.
Lou, aye. Huff? Block? Hancock?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock. Leyva? Aye. Leyva. Mendoza? Pan? Vidak? Aye. Aye. Vidak. 2 or 4.
Okay, you have 4 votes. We'll leave the roll open for absent members.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll see what the.
Okay, Senator Hancock, you have item 13, SB 645, followed by Senator Leyva. You have item 2, SB 334.